So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. And in today's video, we have the Charlotte Hornets. It has been a long time since Charlotte has been a relatively competitive franchise. Last season was certainly not an outlier. They ended up going 21-61, landing the number 6 overall pick in the draft and drafting Tidjane Salaün out of France. This is ultimately a team and a franchise that has really just never had their shit together. Of course, Michael Jordan is one of the greatest basketball players in history, if not the greatest. Unfortunately, that does not mean he is a good owner, and of course, him being the principal owner of this team for quite some time was certainly not the best thing for this franchise. He is now gone. Hopefully, it is a new era here in Charlotte, because Lord knows they need it. We'll talk about this roster and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything that comes with it in just a second. But before we do, as always, let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comment section. I know we have probably about 12 to 14 of these left before we've actually completed all 30 teams. So you guys have seemed to be really enjoying these, and I do thank you guys once again for all your support. So very excited for this one today. Again, definitely, need some help here in Charlotte. So let's see if we can get you a championship. It was a relatively busy offseason for the Charlotte Hornets, and by relatively busy, I mean there was just a lot of moving pieces. Of course, they ended up being the third team in that big blockbuster deal between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New York Knicks. They really didn't get much in return. Daquan Jeffries, a few other filler pieces, but that's what happens when you're kind of just a dumping ground, honestly. So let's talk about this Hornets roster. As I mentioned, there are some nice pieces here. There is some good, if you will. I think there is a working nucleus that we can potentially turn into something special. So, of course, that's a lot of ifs, so we'll figure it out. Let's start out here at the point guard spot. LaMelo Ball, of course, drafted back in 2020, number 3 overall. You take a look at the numbers, you'd say to yourself, hey, these are some pretty good numbers. Shooting splits are pretty decent. Obviously, 24 points per game is really good, and it's really impressive. The one thing with LaMelo Ball is just the health at this point. Over the past 2 seasons, has played less than 60 combined games, and that's just not going to be nearly enough for a guy who is potentially the face of this franchise. So, I'm excited for LaMelo. He's a super fun player to watch when healthy, of course. Clearly the best player on this team. It's just health, and now I'm talking about real life because, of course, we don't play with injuries on here. So LaMelo Ball is going to be my guy today. He is obviously paid on a long-term contract, and very excited to see what we can do with him here today. The backup point guard spot. Vasilije Micic, he's 30, probably not going to be a 3-year guy for me. You got Nick Smith Jr., who, again, only 20 years old, just completed his rookie campaign. I think there is definitely something to like here, so we'll see how well his progression goes. We move to the shooting guard spot. I thought Tre Mann was a nice addition for this team. Of course, acquiring him mid-season last year from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm not sure if he's going to be a starter for the entire time, but obviously a tremendous three-point shooter, and I definitely think he's somebody that we can work with here today. The backup shooting guard spots are currently Cody Martin and Seth Curry. I don't know. I mean, they're role players. It's what you kind of get when you're a very bad team, and it just kind of is what it is. The small forward spot, again, one of the bright spots on this team, one of the few bright spots on this team. 21-year-old Brandon Miller, who, of course, the number 2 overall pick last season. Really solid and honestly really underrated rookie season. A lot of people thought Scoot Henderson should have been the guy at number 2 for Charlotte, and Brandon Miller came out and pretty much proved everybody wrong, comparing their rookie season. So I'm excited about Brandon Miller. He's clearly going to be a very important part of this rebuild. We head to the backup small forward spot offseason. This past offseason, they acquired Josh Green in a trade with the Dallas Mavericks. I think Josh Green will have a little bit of a bigger role and a bigger opportunity here. So at only 23 years old, I think there is some room for growth. You got Daquan Jeffries here, of course, being one of the pieces they got in the 3-team deal with Minnesota and New York. Now the power forward spot. Miles Bridges. Decent basketball player, bad human being. I'm not going to sit here and shut my mouth because I think he's a legitimate piece of shit, but you know what? He's here and we'll work with him as of now. Grant Williams, my former GOAT. I miss Grant Williams in Boston. He was a nice role piece. Of course, another former Dallas Maverick, just never really ended up working out with Luka, Kyrie, and the rest of that core. So, Grant's a fine role player. I think he is definitely making a lot of money, and that's something we will consider, but as of now, excited to have him. Now, Tidjane Salaün, they just took him 6th overall out of France, 6'10", 19 years old. Obviously has a very impressive, almost NBA-ready frame. You got to put on a few pounds, obviously. Only 203 pounds at 6'10" is kind of crazy, but there is definitely something here, and we just got to unlock that potential in today's rebuild. And then finally, the center spot. I'm a big Mark Williams fan. I think he's going to be the center for this team for quite some time. 22 years old. 80 overall. Very excited to see how his growth goes today. Nick Richards, certainly a very serviceable backup center option for me. I love the 2-year, $10 million contract. Excited about that one today. And then finally, I cannot believe that Taj Gibson at damn near 40 is still willing to not only be on an NBA roster, but be the, 3rd center on the Charlotte Hornets. So that is something, that's for sure. So yeah, that's the team. Obviously, it's not, a very talented roster. There is definitely some work that needs to be done. I'm not sure how many moves we'll have before we kick off year one, but I would say it's probably at least a few. I don't love doing trades like this too much because I think it's kind of, almost supporting a massive flaw that 2K has had for years, but Seth Curry was never going to play. He's obviously an expiring contract, and for whatever reason, the Sacramento Kings are willing to give me their first round pick in 2028 for him. So I think that is actually going to be our only trade. I considered many different offers and many different paths that we could have taken for this team here in year one, but ultimately decided that I don't really think we need to force the issue too much because really no matter what deals we made, we were never going to be a contender. We're probably not even going to be close to a play-in team. So here's how the rotation is going to work. LaMelo Ball is obviously going to start. I am going to play Nick Smith Jr. at the backup point guard spot. This is strictly a potential-based decision. Again, if we were trying to maybe win some games, maybe I play Micic because he's 3 overalls higher, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me. The shooting guard spot's going to be Mann and Martin. The small forward spot, Miller and Green. Now, power forward is something that I have been weighing my decision heavily on because although I'm not a fan of Miles Bridges personally, he is certainly still the most talented option we have here at the power forward spot. So I looked at some trades. I'm not going to lie to you. I considered a few different ones, but decided none of them were really worth it. So Bridges is going to start here in year one, but I also don't want to let John Salon, just sit at the bottom of the bench and basically do nothing because that is stupid on a rebuilding team for a former 6 overall pick and a 19-year-old at that. So I'm also not going to trade Grant Williams, but I think I am going to play John Salon over him, as weird as that might sound. And then the center spot's obviously Williams and Richards. I don't know if anybody wants Taj Gibson. I'll take Jalen Wells. I will. That's actually going to be our second trade. So, yeah, those are the decisions we're making. Maybe not the smartest ones in terms of competing, but they are going to be the best ones, I think, in the long-term picture. 2 trades have officially been completed, neither of which were really blockbuster moves or moves that are going to help us win games this season, but of course that was always the goal. Here's how the rotation is going to look. It is LaMelo Ball, Trey Mann, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams. I don't know if there's any surprises in there for you. This is how it's going to work, though. Bench unit will be led by Josh Green, Nick Richards, Cody Martin, John Salon, and Nick Smith Jr. Again, not playing Grant Williams, not playing Vasilije Micic. We kind of know what the ceiling looks like for both those guys. And in a throwaway season, we want to go with the young and the potential. So currently our first-round pick is owned by the San Antonio Spurs. It is lottery protected. I'll check the future protections after this season because I think it is a safe bet that we are going to be a lottery team. So I am, I guess relatively excited for year one, but I am very much looking forward to this offseason. See you guys at the end of the first season. If I could sugarcoat it, I would, but there is absolutely no way to make an ugly girl look pretty like this. We go 15-67. 15 fucking wins. I knew we were bad. I didn't think we were nearly this bad. I mean, this is... Luka's your MVP, Reza Shea Rookie of the Year. We'll go through this quick. You guys get the picture if you've watched these videos and rebuilds enough, and even probably more rebuilds than mine. Okay, is it a safe assumption we're dead last? It is a safe assumption. So, maybe Cooper Flag potentially in the picture. We'll find out in just a second. The one positive was LaMelo Ball. Of course, playing all 82 games with injuries off, he was a beacon of consistency from his shortened seasons for the past 2 years. Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, Trey Mann, Mark Williams, Salon, actually not bad. Martin, Smith, Richards, and then Green. Wow, Green was that low as a 6-man off the bench. Okay, interesting. Rebounds led by Williams, and assists was LaMelo Ball, damn near 8 a game. So LaMelo was actually a very, very big bright spot for this very, very bad team. So sim through the playoffs here. It looks like it's a Timberwolves and a Knicks finals. Can you imagine that? You got Randall and Cat going up against their old squads. Dante in there as well. That'd be a fun one. It really would be. Timberwolves win it all, and good old Anthony Edwards is your finals MVP. MJ 2.0. Okay, by far the best part of this video so far, the offseason. LeBron, Lowry, Horford, Gordon, Lopez, a lot of names here calling it a career. Jay Hernandez, LeBron, and Russ entering the Hall of Fame. Kyle Lowry getting his jersey retired as well. Okay, by far, as I mentioned, biggest moment of this video so far, projected to be the #1 overall pick, and we end up at the #2 overall selection. Now, that's not the end of the world. I can live with that. I've fallen much, much further. Charles Lee departed the Boston Celtics as an assistant this offseason, ended up taking over as the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, and I think Charles Lee has a lot of potential. I've seen what he's done with the Celtics, just from what his small role, but relative to a head coach and the assistant coaching position is a small role. I believe in him. I do think there's a lot of possibilities there. That also, wait a minute. Oh, shit, I can't see it. That didn't really look like Charles Lee. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, let's head up to the draft. The #2 overall selection is very nice to have. Of course, it does mean we maybe missed out on Cooper Flag, which I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world. Maybe could draft somebody else. I think it's been enough time since I've drafted Cooper Flagg where I think it would make sense to try to go up and get him, especially considering a lot of the uncertainty from, a personal, I guess, perspective at our power forward spot. I know he's listed as a small forward here. I'm playing him at the 4, so I'm going to try to get Flagg. Who is the number 1 overall pick? It is the Toronto Raptors. You don't really need a 4. I mean, you have Scotty. I mean, you probably don't really need it. So let's see what Toronto would ask for if they were to hypothetically consider a trade with us. Let's just see. You have a counter. They want 2 unprotected first for Kelly Olynyk. Oh, Kelly. No, I'm going to pass. I will give you my first round pick in round 2 along with another second. And can I actually... I don't want Kelly Olynyk. I legitimately could not be less interested. I would be willing to give up, not Salon. You want Jalen Wells? You're not getting a first for Kelly Olynyk. It's just not happening. Oh, fucking A, man. Another second? No. All right, you know what? Fine. I'll give you the first. What is the... Oh, shit, did not mean to do that. What is it? 2029, that's fine. I'll trade Kelly for another first. All right, we have landed ourselves Cooper Flagg, which is obviously a big deal. A guy that is potentially a franchise-altering piece. Maybe, a number 2 or potentially number 3 option next to LaMelo and Brandon Miller. I'm bringing back Micic just because he'll probably be a trade option. KJ Simpson and Trey Mann will be qualified. I know $10.5 million is, decent chunk of change, but I would definitely not like to let him walk out the door for nothing. So it might be time for a move. Oh my God. We just pulled off an absolute blockbuster with the Philadelphia 76ers, and we landed ourselves Mr. Tyrese Maxey. Now, I'm not exactly sure how a Maxey and Ball backcourt would work. I think, Maxey probably playing the 2 guards, a little bit undersized, but LaMelo certainly got the size to, I guess, guard a shooting guard. So, yeah, we gave up a lot. I'll show you guys the full deal in just a second, but Tyrese Maxey going to be taking over at the 2 guard. And it was a risky trade because I gave up my unprotected first next season, and you're probably asking, well, how do you have your unprotected first? You just, shouldn't that be going to the Spurs? No, I will read you the exact message off of Fanspo, just so you guys know that I'm actually supposed to have the pick. Charlotte's 2025 first-round pick to San Antonio, protected for selections 1 through 14. Of course, it landed at number 2. If this pick falls within its protected range and therefore not conveyed, the Charlotte Hornets will then instead convey its 2026 and 2027 second-round picks. That's exactly what I did, by the way. I sent these Spurs my second in 26 and 27. Obviously got the first back, and we have now landed ourselves Tyrese Maxey. So super excited about that. Our starting 5 will be finished for next season. I think there's maybe one other upgrade I want to make. Of course, I am also interested in retaining the services of Mr. Man, because now we kind of have to be good, right? There's no reason for us to tank, and I know that we're kind of forcing the issue really quickly, but I felt now was really the right time to strike and make that deal. So, did I even show you the full trade? I don't even know if I did, but yeah, that was, wait, what? Hello? Transaction. No, I don't give a shit about staff. What? There's the trade. If you'd like to pause the video and take a little bit of a deeper look at it, feel free. We have a couple more moves coming. I was not overly impressed with the job Josh Green did last year as our 6th man. He was legitimately getting the most minutes out of any bench player, and I'm pretty sure he was dead last in scoring on our team. Now, I'm not expecting Josh Green to put up like 20 points a game or anything, but if we can maybe make a little bit of an upgrade here and a deal with the Wizards that would land us Saddiq Bey and get a first-round draft pick, I think it is pretty much a slam dunk. Of course, Cody Martin also included in this deal, but he was expiring and out of the rotation anyway. So we take a look at this team right now. It is going to be Ball and Smith, Maxey and Mann, Miller and Bey, Flagg and Salon, and then Mark Williams and Nick Richards is actually still going to remain my backup center. I know we got Kelly Olynyk in a deal with the Raptors, and if maybe he had one more year and was a few years younger, of team control, or whatever you want to call it, maybe I hang on to Kelly as the backup big man. But we'll send him elsewhere, reacquire another draft pick, hopefully, and then basically just call it a day. I'm not swapping. Give me a draft pick, somebody. Please. Who's this, Goga? You know what? Fuck it. Why not? Goga can be a trade piece at some point. That's good enough for me. I will see you guys at the start of year 2. Last season was dreadful. It was just about as bad as it could have possibly been. This offseason, of course, making some major swings, and we, in my opinion anyways, hit it out of the park. It is LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, Brandon Miller, Cooper Flagg, and Mark Williams. I mean, it is just leaps and bounds better than what we were working with last year. Bench unit will now be led by Trey Mann. Of course, he was in our starting lineup last season. I feel a little bit bad, but he did get a payday, at the end of the day. Got in Saddiq Bey here now. Nick Smith Jr. developing quite nicely. Nick Richards. And then Tijan Salon is, falling a little bit in the minutes department. The overall has gone up, but unfortunately, he is still the lowest overall by far. So I don't really know what to expect. I think this is clearly clearly a talented enough team to make the playoffs. I don't know if we're up there with some of the true powerhouses here in the Eastern Conference, but I'd like to stay positive, and that's really because I don't know my first round pick this year. I'll see you guys at the end of year 2. Our second regular season is over, and it was one that I am pretty proud of. 50-32 is the record, of course, good enough for a playoff spot, especially here in the East. I don't know if we're going to win the whole thing, but I am definitely much happier than I was just a season ago. Now, Luka wins another MVP. Ace Bailey, your Rookie of the Year. You know, if Cooper Flagg had a bigger role on a shittier team, certainly would have been possible. Kyle Kuzma is your Sixth Man of the Year. Wemby wins another DPOY. Alex Sarwat. Is that 3 Wizards winning awards? Times they are a-changing. Donovan Mitchell, Clutch Player of the Year. And Mark Daignault, 63-19. He's your Coach of the Year. Wow. Oklahoma City looking pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at the standings. We actually are a 2 seed. That is a surprise. I guess I should have realized maybe the Eastern Conference isn't as good as the West, because we would have been a 5 or a 6 seed here over in the Western Conference. All right, here are the numbers all across the board. LaMelo Ball, just again, I know I've already used this phrase and this term, but a beacon of consistency. It is exactly what I have been looking for. Tyrese Maxey, Cooper Flagg, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, I keep almost saying Terrence Mann. Trey Mann. Nick Smith Jr., Sadiq Bey, T-John Salon, and then Nick Richards. Rebounds per game led by Mark Williams, and assists was LaMelo. So, yeah, I mean, we go from the worst team in the league to facing a play-in team in round 1. Pretty big jump for us here. The Bulls are in a weird phase of their franchise right now where they definitely have some, older veterans that are relatively talented and obviously probably should just commit to rebuilding. No, I don't know why I did that. That was way too confident. We quickly go up 2-1. They tie it at 2-2. We go up 3-2. We do actually win a series, though. And wow, the 6-seed Pistons upset the 3-seed Raptors. All right. Another young rebuilding core here in Detroit. They added Herb Jones, one of my personal favorite players in the NBA. This is a really good team. So, not really good, but they're a solid squad. So, they're not going to be a walk in the park by any means. We are up 2-1. They tie it at 2s. We go down 3-2, and we lose 4 straight. And get bounced in 6. Disappointing. Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves once again back in the finals. This time taking on Tyrese Halliburton. Can we chill the fuck out, please? For like one video. That's all I'm really asking. Okay. All right. It is off-season time. We obviously have a couple big decisions to make. Really just... Oh, is that Steph? Shit. Oh, my God. That's crazy. That's insane. We have a couple big decisions to make just in terms of what we want to do with, basically 1 or 2 of the starters on this team, right? Oh, wow, Lakers. Surprise. We'll figure it out. And then, of course, the coaching thing as well. Charles Lee, those ratings are just so tough. They really are. I like Charles Lee. I think he is going to be successful in Charlotte. I do not want to sit here and lie to you about that because I am a Charles Lee believer. I was sad when he departed my Celtics. I am happy for him, of course, that he now has a head coaching job. That all being said, it is a championship or bust season, and there are 3 head coaches here that would take any of them over Charles Lee. So I'm going to move on. Again, I don't think he deserves to be fired. He took this team from 17 to 50 wins, no matter how much more talented the roster has gotten. But I need... Oh, shit. This actually might have been a mistake. We don't really have any money because, we are the Charlotte Hornets at the end of the day. Please tell me one of you accepts... Oh, fuck. Stauffer? Oh, fuck. Well, I am back in a very, very bad position. Jacob Underwood, I've also had some success with, so I'll throw him a contract just in case. Oh, baby. Ooh, I actually love Will Hardy. Hopefully one of these guys. All right, Underwood accepts. That's fine. That's fine. I'll take on Jacob Underwood. I've won with him in the past. Maybe it's the same thing this time. All right, we approach the 2026 NBA draft, and we have no draft picks. Fine by me. We head up to team player options. Miller, Smith, and Salon all going to be brought back. Qualifying offers. Mark Williams, certainly somebody I want to qualify. So we're actually going to go ahead and pay him. He's going to ask for actually not that much money. $25 million annually. I know I'm overpaying. You will see why in just a second. Okay, I will see you guys with a trade. Oh, another blockbuster deal, landing another star, and this time it is an upgrade at our center spot in a deal with the Miami Heat that lands us Bam Adebayo. Now, I understand I gave up, a lot. It's worth it, though. I don't know why this entire video, I don't want to use the term manifesting, but I really have genuinely believed that Bam Adebayo would be a really good fit with this team, and we obviously went out and made it happen. Now, we gave up quite a bit in terms of draft capital, but as we approach the final regular season, it does not really matter. So, Mark Williams was a fine option, but if I'm upgrading anywhere in this starting 5, it was relatively clearly going to be our center spot. So, I'm super pumped to have Bam. I think he is going to be that final piece that puts us over the hump. Now, I do need to find myself a new backup shooting guard. Of course, Trey Mann was included in that deal, and Keon Ellis is just sitting here. It's like a match made in effing heaven. I'm pumped about that. Welcome to the team. All right, I will see you all, unless there's any other bench moves I want to upgrade. No, I think we're good. I'll see you guys at the start of the final regular season. It is now or never here in Charlotte. This offseason, of course, making another major upgrade to this team, adding Mr. Bam Adebayo, in my opinion, the most versatile defensive player in all of basketball. Still very underrated as well, even though a lot of people give him love these days. Who gives a shit? Here's how it's going to look. LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, Brandon Miller, Cooper Flagg, and Bam Adebayo. If I showed a Charlotte Hornets fan this starting five and 2-3 seasons away, I think you would probably punch me in the face. Bench unit's going to be led by Nick Smith Jr. He's up to an 81 overall. T-John Salon developing nicely. Got Keon Ellison here as our new backup shooting guard. Nick Richards, and then Sadiq Bey, who went from like 7th man to 10th man. So sorry, bro. I feel bad. All right, this is going to be the squad. I am hoping this is the team that can lead us to the promised land. I have very high hopes, very big expectations. Hopefully they all come true. I'll see you guys at the end of year 3. Luka wins the 3rd straight MVP, but who cares? We go 66-16. Clearly our best record yet. It's a 16-game improvement from last year, and it is championship or bust. Luka, AJ DeBansta, Cam Thomas, Victor Wembanyama, VJ Edgecombe, Luka Doncic, Jacob Underwood, our guy. Brought in a new head coach, a little bit of a risky move. Looks like it working out, at least for now, though. It is standing time. We are up 13 games here in the East as we take the 1 seed. And my friends, it was the best record in basketball. Okay, I'm feeling good. I'm not going to lie to you fine people. Now, LaMelo's scoring goes down a little bit, of course, with the development of Cooper Flagg and Brandon Miller and the addition of Bam Adebayo. That is not necessarily the most shocking thing in the world. Rebounds per game led by Bam. Assist was LaMelo. Okay, once again facing a play-in team. That play-in team is the Brooklyn Nets. Definitely made some additions, some strides in the right direction, but I think we are just way better. We went in 5. Now the Indiana Pacers. This team won the East last year. I do not want to take them lightly. I have a lot of respect for the Pacers and their entire system and team as a whole. So we're going to go game by game. We are quickly up 3-0, and okay. Now us and the Pistons here in the Eastern Conference Finals. Here's a look at that Pistons squad. I believe they beat us last year, right? I think they did. Anyways, I'd like to win. I don't care who's in front of us. They do win game 4, but we win the series in 5. We are facing Luka and the Mavericks here in the finals. Fuck. Not necessarily my first choice because, of course, there are a lot of talented players here. Did I trade Miles Bridges here? No, I traded Miles Bridges for Maxey, right? Okay, who cares? Let's get into it. Quickly go down 2-0. Oh, my God. Just about as bad as it gets. Yeah. This game's love of Luka Doncic and Anthony Edwards is so insane, and it's so crazy. And I'm not saying that they're both not fantastic players, because they are both certainly absolute superstars in this league, but Ant averaged back-to-back 40-point triple-doubles in the final, or 40 points a game. Luka averaged 36.5-point triple-doubles. You get the point. Numbers are definitely a little inflated. But nonetheless, I would consider this a successful rebuild. If we got, again, 3 years down the line and we look at a Charlotte Hornets team and it was anything remotely close to this, I think Hornets fans would be jumping for joy. So, of course, I like winning championships in all my rebuilds. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is that it does not always happen as much as I wish it did. So, this one was fun, though. I think we put together a really good squad. Of course, pulled up a couple different blockbuster trades. And, yeah, man, Hornets fans, I hope I made you happy because I'm sure there's not a lot of happiness in your franchise's history. I'm sorry, that's so mean. So let me know which team I should rebuild next down below in the comment section. And yeah, that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.